Hey everyone, Dockwell here, and in today's video, I'm going to be going over Armlet. I'm going to show you what it does, how to use it, and when to buy it. So Armlet costs 2,500 gold, and that's pretty cheap actually compared to a lot of the items in the game, but especially as an early game item that you're probably buying first. It's on the lower end of the first early farming items, like let's say Echo Saber costs 200, less than that. Something like a Battle Fury, a lot cheaper. Something like Mage Slayer, a little bit cheaper than that as well. So a lot of these items, Maelstrom is another one. It's pretty cheap comparatively, and actually has a very, very good build-up in general, which we'll take a look at here in a second. Then in terms of what Armlet gives you, it gives you 15 damage, 25 attack speed, 6 armor, and 5 health regen. And these are all very important stats to go with this item that is actually going to be bought mostly by strength heroes. So that's why armor is very, very important with this item, because strength heroes love to buy armor. Plus the attack speed, the damage. This is all great for farming, for staying on the map with health regen, all that kind of stuff. But honestly, the biggest part of Armlet is the toggle Unholy Strength. So what this does is, when activated, Unholy Strength grants 35 damage, 25 strength, and 4 armor, but drains 45 health per second. So basically you get all these stats plus bonuses, 35 damage, 25 strength, and 4 armor, but you sacrifice health per second, which means that a hero that is going to buy Armlet needs to have some kind of innate way to regen their health, or they like to have low health, or there is some weird component about their natural kit that allows them to have Armlet running without it being too much of a detriment, because 45 health per second on any kind of, squishy hero, most agility heroes would really not want to sacrifice 45 health per second. That's a lot. So you need to have some kind of way of having super high HP, super high regen, something that counteracts this drain of 45 health per second to make it worth having all these extra stats and buying this in general. Instead of just talking about Armlet more, let's just show you how it works, because it's better to see this kind of item in action. And I picked Huskar specifically because this is one of the best, if not the best, Armlet buyers in the entire game. This hero probably buys it every single game without question, and probably every single patch as well. So basically the Armlet just sits in our inventory and gives us all those passive buffs, but then if we activate it, you can see it turns red, gives us this buff here, and then actively starts draining our HP pretty significantly. But you can also see that 626, that's as much HP as the Huskar has with the Armlet at level 1, and then when we activate it, that's 1176 HP. That's actually a lot of HP. It almost doubles our HP there, but it drains it very, very quickly. So you really have to be careful, obviously, with this drain, and you need some way as a hero to sustain while it's draining your HP, because if we get really low, like we can see here, and we deactivate the Armlet, we can see we go all the way down to 1 HP, which is very, very bad. You can't kill yourself with the Armlet, but if we're farming the jungle and the creep hits us, or if the enemy hits us even one time while we deactivate this, or if there's some damage over time spell on us that does a ton of damage, consistently, then we can easily die as soon as we deactivate it. But let's say there are specific instances where there's a hero that's just right-clicking you, or there's a hero like Queen of Pain who has Shadow Strike, which it does do damage over time, but it ticks only at certain intervals. You can actually time it. So let's say we're really, really low and somebody attacks us and we're still alive. Well, right before the other attack goes off, we can quickly turn off the Armlet and then turn it back on to get back that HP. So that can be really, really important as a way to survive, or just get that extra damage out, or survive a little bit more to run away a little bit more, drag out the fight. And you can do this multiple times. It's called Armlet toggling, and it's a very, very high skill, difficult thing to do in a lot of situations. Sometimes it's almost impossible to do, but it's one of those things, if you're going to get good at a hero like Huskar, you need to learn how to do this really quickly so that you can survive in very specific situations. Now, I do want to show you why Huskar specifically is such a good hero for Armlet. So we'll level this hero up, and we'll put a bunch of points in this hero's abilities like Burning Spear and Berserker's Blood. And Berserker's Blood is the main one that is going to be very, very effective for this hero, because basically what you do is you get more attack speed the lower HP you are, which obviously you can see that that's great for draining HP, but you also get more regen the lower HP you are, and you get magic resistance. So this is the perfect combo, because you can see as I leveled this up, we have Armlet activated, but we're actually out regenning the Armlet despite it draining our HP. So we actually have more regen than what we're getting drained. And then if we turn this off, then we obviously lose all that HP, but now we have a ton of regen very, very quickly, regening all the way back up. So that's why Huskar is such a perfect example of a great Armlet buyer, because you just have a passive way of regening a ton of health. And then if we actually turn this on at a specific time, level 14, no other items, we can see that, yeah, it's draining our health, but it will reach an equilibrium point where it really doesn't drain much of our health anymore. That's somewhere around half HP or so. Now, this hero is very specific, where you do cast Burning Spear and it costs HP and stuff like that. You do remove HP from yourself with the ultimate and things like that. So you do have to be careful. It's not like you can just infinitely sustain, but This is key to the hero, where using Armlet makes this hero actually attack more, do more damage, you get all those buffs, and you don't really have the penalty nearly as much. Plus, if you really get into those sticky situations like I talked about, you can just Armlet toggle quick, and that makes it even more difficult to bring a hero like Huskar down. So that's why Huskar is a perfect example of an Armlet buyer, but I just wanted to show you how this kind of works with some heroes' kits to make them really, really difficult to bring down while not really losing too much from that drain and gaining all the benefits of Armlet. Because Armlet, for the price and what you're getting, it's actually one of the best stat items, if not the best stat item in the game, other than like Iron Branch. It's just that negative aspect of draining your health is so bad that only a few heroes really can counter that to make it really effective for them. Then in terms of heroes that like to buy Armlet, it's pretty much only strength heroes that have the HP pool or some kind of way to out regen that negative health drain component. So something like Huskar is a great example. We already talked about that. Lifestealer, another great hero to buy Armlet. And usually on these kinds of heroes that are right-click carries that buy Armlet, like a Lifestealer, you usually go Armlet Deso. That's a great combination where you just do insane amounts of damage and you can lifesteal through all that health drain, and you have an ultimate and stuff like that to make sure that if you do get low, you can then, pop into a creep or something like that and regen back up to full. Then there's heroes like Alchemist that can buy it. Although it's falling out of favor a little bit, you do have your ultimate to out regen that health drain. You have something like Chaos Knight. You have a ton of crit damage that restores your health as well, and the Armlet, when you activate it, makes your illusions stronger when you pop them. Or you have these other kind of weird niche scenarios like a Kunkka or a Wraith King, where you don't want to have the Armlet running all the time, but you can activate it really quickly so that you can use Tidebringer on Kunkka or the crit with just the right click on Wraith King to do extra damage, and so you amp up that damage from the crit from Kunkka and Wraith King by just buffing yourself up for a few seconds with the Armlet and then deactivating it immediately after you right click the creep or right click the enemy. And so for the most part, it's really only strength heroes that can buy Armlet. Maybe you could buy Armlet on a Slardar or a Night Stalker or a Tide or some of these other heroes. You could potentially get it if you have so much HP and regen that it doesn't really matter, or you just activate it for very small, instances. So it's not that only those heroes I mentioned can buy it, but for the most part, it is really only strength heroes. Agility heroes are not going to buy it for the most part. They don't have the HP or the innate built-in sustain to counteract it. Intelligence, definitely not. Their HP is really small, and they usually focus on spell casting, other things like that. And for the most part, universal heroes are not going to buy it either. I mean, maybe you could potentially buy it on Abaddon, I guess, but even that's not really happening either. So it's really mostly just a strength hero item. Also, just wanted to pop in here. Don't buy it on Terrorblade. That's a meme. Don't do that. You can, yes, get yourself low HP and ult people, but just don't do that. It's a meme. Stop it. Now, in terms of how and when to build it, like I said, you're probably buying this as a very first farming type of item. If you're going to be buying it at all on one of those strength heroes like a Huskar or a Lifestealer, you're going for it very early. And it is a very good buildup. It's relatively cheap overall, but it's just that the buildup is great. Helm of the Iron Will, Glove of Haste, and Blade of Attack is fantastic. And you might even complete the entire thing before you even get your boots, or at least your power treads or your phase boots, depending on which one you're going. So this is a great item in terms of the buildup, and you're probably starting out buying Helm of the Iron Will, maybe even as your first item that you're buying other than starting gold. Like you might buy branches, tangos, that kind of stuff, and then immediately save up for Helm of the Iron Will, because that 4 armor and 4 regen is so good for sustaining in the lane, especially that later portion of the lane once you get that regen. If you don't need to like buy boots immediately to run people down or run away, you can just get this, and now you're taking way less harass damage from right clicks, and you're regenning out all that spell damage, all that right click damage. You don't really need to buy tangos or anything like that. Plus, on a hero like Lifestealer or a hero like Huskar, you're probably getting that passive regen at level 3, 4, 5 anyway, so it just makes you have way more HP in the laning stage. Now, the only exception to buying Helm of the Iron Will first is that you could potentially go for Blade of Attack really early. If you feel like for whatever reason, sustain is not a problem, you just want damage to either harass enemies because you want to go super aggressive, or because you want more damage to last hit the creeps. That can be something in Lifestealer matchups specifically. You feel like you're not going to die in that lane. You just want to get more last hits and outlast at the enemy. You could totally go for Blade of Attack early, or you could even buy Blade of Attack first with starting gold. That is something that happens here and there on certain heroes. It's not something that happens every game, probably only like 10% of games. So you can totally do that. Either way, you're probably doing Blade of Attack first, or Helm of the Iron Will first, and then finishing out with Glove of Haste and then Recipe. And then finally, in terms of when to buy it, like I said, you're only buying it first. You're never really buying it second, third, fourth item for the most part. You're just buying it early as your first farming item, and you can think about it as a farming item early for those strength heroes, because the buildup is so good in the lane. Plus, for what it's doing, it just amps up your farm and your presence on the map overall. Plus, you actually are probably going to sell this item if it does get to 50, 60 minutes when you get 6 slotted and you need another slot to fill something in. in, it actually isn't as good as some of these other huge items that you can buy. It's just that early on, it's great for farming, it's great for the lane, it's great for what it gives you at the price, but if you do get 6 slotted, if you need more room, you can just sell this and you don't really need it later anyway, for the most part. So it's one of those things that because it is a potential sellable item later, you don't really want to buy it any later than very, very early, very first item for the most part. And that, everyone, is Armlet. I hope this helped you better understand the item and when to buy it. As always, guys, if you like the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.